Hey, welcome to a new video. Today we're at a very special event. This car meeting is organized by Option Magazine and Volkswagen Group. They're actually doing this to show the CEO of Volkswagen the passion behind car culture here and how people modify and personalize their cars. So it's basically going to be a concoction of everything that the JDM scene has to offer. And what better people to get involved than Option Magazine? These guys have been behind the biggest automotive aftermarket publication here in Japan for 40 plus years. And they know everybody involved in the scene. And I've just paced the whole meeting. And I have to say they selected a really important numbers of cars because they're really trying to highlight the best of the best. Exactly what people get up to when it comes to modifying and kind of approaching different cars in different ways. And of course, along with the Japanese cars, as you see here, we do have a pretty crazy selection. We're gonna have a nice area over there, kind of filled up with all sorts of Volkswagens, new and old, kind of to show off to Volkswagen Group how passionate Japanese people are about their Volkswagens here in Japan. And something that I've always touched on when it comes to finding foreign cars imported into Japan is the way that the Japanese are always able to make them stand out in a way that I've never seen in any country. Be it an Italian car, be it a German car, there's something so special about an import built here in Japan. So we're actually quite early to the venue, mainly because I ended up bringing my R34 GTR, and roll-in is a couple of hours before the meet actually starts. And the reason for that is pretty much the fact that it's going to be held as a night meet, kind of inspired after the Tokyo Drift, kind of Fast and Furious movies, kind of giving it that vibe that everybody loves to kind of see and emphasize when it comes to JDM culture. But that will happen later on. I just wanted to kind of show you guys, while we have a lot of light left, just the incredible array of cars that are slowly making their way in, and they're all separated by brands. We have a nice lineup of RX-7s here, mainly FDs. I did see a couple of FCs roll in. We have some crazy Kyusha cars here that are already nicely positioned. Starting off with this beautiful Ken Mary on XR4s. We have a 4-door Hako, actually 2 of them. And then we get into more Nissans. Fairlady Z Turbo here, S130, beautiful Hakoska, and this crazy special car. This actually looks like a 432. It's actually a replica of a 432, mainly because it is left-hand drive. But if you look in the engine bay, you'll find an S20. An S20 that is even more special than an S20, because if you look deep under there, you'll notice that it's actually running a billet block. More on this car later on. We will actually be featuring this at some point. But this thing is actually 2.6 liters, revs to like 10,000 RPM, and looks like a stock 432 outside. The owner, Sudo-san, is a guy you will probably have heard of before. He runs the number 7 brand here in Japan, kind of catering to the aftermarket with his unique racing products, and owns one of the craziest R32 GTRs that we featured before. And this is his latest creation. Of course, part of the Volkswagen Group is Audi, and the guys at Option really brought in some cool tuned Audis to the venue here. Starting off with this crazy APR TTRS, sporting a fully modified engine. Look at the positioning of the piggyback tank. Crazy looking thing. This one's even lifted for some off-road action. And then we have a bunch of TTRS customer cars of various states of tune, and you can see how everybody does their own kind of individual unique thing. This is kind of like a stock approach to an RS3. This TTRS is running pretty sick kind of turbofan wheels. This is actually on TE37s, the polished version. A true JDM approach to doing an Audi, as is this blue one here. And of course, with the whole theme of this meet being centered around the Fast and Furious movie, Tokyo Drift in particular, we have a nice selection of movie cars. We got the two Velside cars, an S14, the Mirage, the Evo, and of course the 34. And again, like I mentioned, this is a side of Japanese car culture that I've always tried to highlight as much as possible, in my coverage, be it through photography or through the videos that I've been doing here on the channel the last couple of years. And this is pretty much the perfect example of what I mean. A Golf GTI slammed on T37s is pretty much, the Japanese approach to doing up a popular import like a Golf. You can see the attention to detail, very subtle carbon fiber additions, like here on the spoiler and the lower section, Armitrix exhaust, and a nice brake package to finish it off from run use. And from the newer Golfs we go into the older stuff. Is a four-door Golf here, and then when you get to the older stuff, they tend to be more stance of an approach. So this one is actually sitting on old school BBS wheels, sporting a couple of bicycles on the roof rack. Next to it, an older Golf slammed on air suspension, sporting some Ferrari rims and 6-spot Brembo brakes. Customized interior too, with aftermarket buckets, roll cage in the back. Pretty sick, and for some reason on UK plates. And as people are still prepping prior to the event actually opening, I just wanted to give you guys a little bit more of an understanding of what I mean with the whole VW scene here in Japan. This EOS, for example, a convertible coupe that was available up until some years back, sitting on Pokal wheels. Next to it, another GTI, stripped out, and got some Simpson belts on the GTI seats, roll cage in the back. This one's actually sitting on Porsche brakes. And a slightly older Golf from Cox. Cox is actually a really famous motorsport outfit that supports a lot of series in Japan, and they're really proficient in extracting the best handling packages out of cars, specifically Volkswagens. You can see they do suspension and brake packages, finishing off with NK wheels, and we have a few of the crazy builds like this R from Midnight Revolver. And something that really hits hard is this Audi R8 on Yokohama Advan GT wheels, 5-spoke forged Japanese rims. Pretty sick. And you guys probably remember our visit of Flat 4 in Yokohama, and of course the Moon Eye shows. You guys know how popular air-cooled Beetles and Volkswagens in general are in Japan. There's already a nice array here materializing. Look at this one sitting on Porsche turbo wheels with little Mazda RX-7 calipers. This meet is quickly becoming something very special. And hell, this is actually the flat 4 demo car that I rode in, what was it, like last year? That fully rebuilt and restored creation that they put together and are actually offering as a complete car. Over on the JDM side of things, we have a nice FD from Scoot, the crazy Amamiya Chantez with the wild over fender body. We've seen this car at various events like Tokyo Auto Salon and Nostalgic 2 Days. We have Inoue-san here from Star Road with his very special wide body S30, smoking his last cigarette before he has to park the car. Another sick Volkswagen coming in, a nice lineup of Golf Rs and GTIs. And again, you know, perfect example of a Japanese take on getting the stance just right. And good to be seeing the mix of old and new. You know, there's always a lot of kind of attention given to the newer cars, but the older stuff really hits hard for me. That's like period correct OEM perfect. All the way from Ibaraki, a bit of Oniken for this little thing, little Lupo. So I wonder what the CEO is going to think about seeing all these slammed and stance cars as well. Of course, you know, here in Japan we're able to do pretty much anything we want when it comes to cars. In Germany and other countries it's very difficult to modify, so I think you'll be pretty surprised. And of course, when it comes to air-cooled, you gotta have some Porsches here. There's a RWB here to start off the lineup. I think this car actually used to be parked very close to me. Good to see that it's been salvaged because it was sitting for a while. It's got new Recaros in there, looking very sick. And it's a manual. We got Iso's car here, looking super clean as ever. If you recall, we did a full feature on his car. We have Takashi's 993 GT2 looking thing. And then the whole Kure crew. Konnichiwa! We got that wild flat nose, kind of topping up the 911 selection here. I keep saying we need to do a feature on this car, but the more I see this car, the more I realize that it needs to be done during the day, because once it gets dark, you can't see any details. All right, all the Porsches have been repositioned. We got a sick Pandem R35 built by Moontech. And the Supra lineup, of course. Lots of A90s. And right across from all these, we have a bunch of Hachirokus, new and old. Actually, look at the solution here. Old school Toyota rim, rebarreled and turned into a two-piece creation. So you get the OEM look, but the right fitment and stance. This is absolutely sick. Love little details like that. Another sick FD. Got a couple of older Supras. This one's actually running the TRD bonnet. And I don't know how they got the Z's that just rolled in a second ago back here, but yeah, Inoue's car from Star Road has been positioned here. Still one of those cars that really has so much impact when you see it. I always love the design of their unique design wheels here. Fully built L series. And over here, speaking of fully built L series, is another 130. Look at that. Fuel injected, no carbs here. And those are some seriously big diameter velocity stacks. This thing must sound absolutely crazy on full chat. So much goodness. Wide body Hachiroku 11, fully built turbo motor. The size of that little turbo. So cute. Drag spec S30, which ended up getting positioned next to the Camry we saw right at the beginning. Completely stripped out. Would love to see what they're running with the engine. But yeah, this is old school Japanese drag awesomeness, and I think they're still participating in the kind of events up until last year with this thing. We really need to go to one of these drag festivals at Central Circuit. Orange FD. My God, what a selection of cars. I'm just blown away. And as you can see, they're setting up all these diesel generators. They're all going to be powering these massive lights so that we will end up having light during the night, which is very important because when you're at these crazy beautiful venues with incredible views all around, light is always the thing that gets missing. So I think Option really learned a lot from last year's event they did in Yokohama. That unfortunately is not happening anymore because the location is no longer available, but when it comes to lighting, that's something that they really needed to kind of concentrate on. And on top of all the stuff that's being set up on these massive cranes behind us, there's also these LED tubes in front of most cars. So creating like a center road here for the CEO to roll in and head right into the main section where all the VW Group cars are actually on display. I just noticed Smokey Nagata is rolling in with his R35, one of the guys that has been invited to show off Japanese car culture. And what better guy than this crazy man. In front of him, still from Chiba, is Aria Mimiya with this crazy FD project car. So a couple of legends rolling in now. And actually, why they wait to be positioned, and before they hide this, I wanted to show you guys the Orochi, the Mitsuoka complete conversion of a Honda NSX. I actually shot one of these cars back in the day, probably 15 plus years ago. I was still blown away that they actually did this to an NSX, but surprisingly enough, they actually sold a decent number of cars, probably like 10 or 15, I would imagine. Complete conversion right down to the roof section. You can see they added that kind of like rounded off section there. And there you have Amemiya-san and Smokey. All right, so we're getting pretty close to the actual arrival of the Volkswagen president, which is pretty much when the event opens. But before it gets too dark, I think I'm really gonna slowly start pacing. The few last cars arriving now. I'm gonna slowly start pacing it properly to kind of show you exactly all the cars that are here tonight. The venue is sick. Now that it's being lit up, it's even sicker. It's really slowly kind of materializing into those really cool night meets with that kind of right atmosphere, if you know what I mean. Yes, of course, it is embellished by lights and stuff, but you know, at the end of the day, we are celebrating car culture, and what better way than to do it at a sick venue like this in Tokyo, surrounded by what makes Japan so damn special when it comes to car culture. So, while the sun keeps setting over the horizon, I'm gonna start pacing up and down all the rows of cars. And hell, you know what? I'm gonna start with my very own R34, which is looking cleaner than ever. Pulled it out of the car spot today, brought it to a car wash, cleaned it up, and it's looking very, very shiny and very attractive. One thing though, this damn splitter keeps popping open. I've glued it a couple of times, but these OEM plastic ones just always end up like this. So I have to think of a solution for that. All right, I think what really makes sense is if I start right at the top the first lineup of cars here and get going all the way down towards the river. And actually, this is an old Olympic, well, old, from the 2020 Olympics. They actually held the rowing just behind here. So a really cool venue, freshly built for the Olympics, and an awesome location, one of the man-made islands, they're kind of dotted around the Tokyo Bay. So we are standing on reclaimed land, and that's why it's so open, quiet, nobody to bother us, except the odd plane taking off from Haneda Airport. Right, let's get going. FDs for days. And the beautiful thing about this car, of course, is always the fact that somebody's coming in hot. Of course, the thing with these cars is that you can really customize them and personalize them like pretty much nothing else that ever came before or after it. I'm pretty sure the FD really has the biggest catalog of parts, especially when it comes to, aero solutions, exterior bits and pieces. I mean, look at this thing, it's so sick. On NK wheels as well. The orange one we saw before. We've got a nice simple stock looking blue one here on NK wheels. A couple of darker ones. We've got the Scoot look bonnet on this one. And oh, it's so sick. One thing we missed earlier on is looking at the FCs. There are quite a few here today, starting off with this wide body maroon example running on the Race 21Cs. A couple of more ones here, right down to a cabriolet here with some interesting orange highlights across the body, the interior, and even the back spoiler here. It all ends up at the RX-8 here. We have 3 cars. The middle one here is an Itasha. Next up, it's the Kyusha lineup. And we get started here with this beautiful Kenmeri. Just look at the interior being lit up with those lights. So sick. Little tiny wooden steering wheel. We got Ryo's Hakos here. This is actually a real Hakosuka. S20 powered, looking sweet on the Gotti wheels. We'll keep going around the back here as people chat. We got that other Kenmeri we were looking at before. This time the hood has been popped so we can actually indulge in that fully tuned L series. Beautiful thing. Right next to it, the S130. And the lineup of Z's continue. Inoue-san's Star Road, the wide body Hachiroku, the drag S30. The other Kenmeri, unfortunately the bonnet hasn't been open on this one, as well as this other lineup of Hakos. But it's okay because we have Sudo-san's crazy 432 billet blocked S20 powered 240Z US car, but made to look like the very special version of the Z here in Japan. Of course, the 432 was the one running the S20, and this is actually an S26. And Sudo-san over here, the crazy man behind the project. We are definitely going to do a video on this thing. Super clean, super simple. He kept it narrow body. Almost looks like a stock Z. But of course, once you pop that bonnet, all is revealed. keeping with the whole Fast and Furious theme here, we have a crazy wide body 34, kind of styled after the movie car, except this thing is slammed down Onican. I think if you look at it from the back, you really realize how wide this thing is and just how much negative camber is being run here. Fully stripped out cabin, lots of blue, roll cage, crazy thing. Right, on to some K cars. We got a nice lineup of S660s. These cars continue to be very popular in the aftermarket scene, with so many people really going full out, customizing these tiny little pocket rockets. I mean, these are really fun cars. They're actually not even that slow. You know, when you actually get them to handle well, it's pretty impressive just how much speed you can take into the corners with these things. And you know, people really do go pretty wild. We have a pretty wide R32 GTR with an interesting carbon fiber bonnet. I can't really remember ever seeing this design when it comes to the outlets here. Very unique. Sitting on T37s. Pretty serious brake setup from AP Racing. Next to it, a Clio RS. Again, kind of emphasizing the whole uniqueness of the Japanese tuning scene here. Really do see a bit of everything. Suzuki Swift, pretty sick interpretation of one, even has over fenders. Actually, you know what, let's look at the back of this thing. This is probably one of the coolest I've ever seen. It sits so nice. Twin exit exhausts, running what looks like a Blitz over fender kit. Next to it, wild Exige, half carbon fiber. You can really see the thick gauge of carbon pre-preg that was used here from Carbon Factory. What does that say? Kipla. R32 GTR 70 series Supra, which actually looks like it's been probably stroked, rebuilt motor. Hence the 3.1 on the grille there. Nice clean S2000. Very interesting choice of color. And for some reason, Porsche inspired badge there, Rise Yokohama. Love the white NKs. Another sick R32. This is another Garage Source car. There's a few Garage Source cars at today's event. This thing is very much repping the whole drag look. And it looks like they're opening the hood so we can have a look inside. And yep, it's a pretty wild build. Pretty wild build with a fully built Garage Source RB. Very large turbo, nicely positioned into this general area here, which is usually taken up by the airbox. All right, let's keep going. We have a nice S14. Again, on raised wheels. These are the TE37Vs with the stepped lip for that extra deep dish look. We have a almost stock looking ZN6. Another clean FD build. God, I love these things. The Hachiroku we were looking at before, the Trueno with the customized wheels. It's such a cool solution. Wide body GR86, Evo 10. The only import so far that isn't part of the Volkswagen group. We have an A-Class turbo. And then we get to the really cool, very Japanese stuff with the little K car, a nice slammed Toyota Crown, the kind of stuff you would usually be seeing at events like Moon Eyes. And just look at this against that setting sun back there. Absolutely wild. Let's keep moving. We have the tiny little Honda Z here with that 2-cylinder engine. I actually remember doing a little story on this thing on Speed Hunters years ago when it first started coming to the Moon Eyes Streetcar Nationals. We move over to another FD, and then we have the crazy upflug, super wide body Supra. I actually shot this car way back in the day when Curve, a company that's no longer around, but used to take Abflug wide body kits and actually either modify them to be wider or like blend them in so they would create this really smooth effect. All right, let's start with the Porsches again. We got the cab RWB Isos car. This is a GT2 inspired 993, super slammed 993 on HRE wheels. This crazy 930 flat nose Pandem RF GTR R35, and then we get on to that long lineup of Supras we already looked at before. And it looks like one of the Supras opened up the bonnet, so we can have a look at the 2J setup running a single turbo. Very generous sizes, looks like a T78. All right, so I think it makes sense to start the next lineup from a Honda. I've only come across an S2000 thus far. I think we need a little bit more spotlights on Hondas, and this EK is super sick. Really nice aftermarket color on this. Sitting on, I can't even make these wheels out actually. Are they Gram lights? Yes, they are. Black, couldn't see it. Gram lights 57s. Very simple, but equally smoothly executed. Aero fenders and aero hood on this. Probably a nice engine setup as well. We got the Rise Yokohama FD next to my car. And I know I really need to do something about these red Brembos. I need to go for something a little bit more subtle when it comes to coloring. Another sick Garage Source R34 build. This thing sounded insane when it rolled in earlier today. And we have another Garage Source R32. This is kind of more a street oriented build in that it doesn't really have too many showy aero touches, just the spoiler removal at the back with a little lip. But of course under here, fully built stroked engine from Garagesaurus, running one of the very latest single turbos from HKS, and even a VCAM here to help the engine get on spool, or rather the turbos to spool up a little bit quicker. And at the back, like I was saying, a nice little carbon fiber lip spoiler for the trunk. So sick setup for the road. Probably a good 900 horsepower. Right next to that, we have this beautiful S13 Silvia on old school TE37s. I love this look and I love this color. And next to it we have a lady-owned, completely stock-looking S13. It even has the lace on the seats. How cool is this? This is an option that the dealers used to offer, but that is so cool and very, very rare. The Nissan branded lace for the seats. Next to it, completely stock R34 GTR. And these are getting rarer, of course, because, you know, everybody likes to play with modifying GTRs. A couple of more 32s here. We've got a white one on BBS. LMs, Toyota Altezza, an R35 GTR. So we'll make it car number 2, together with the Pandem car we saw earlier on, running Yokohama Advan GTs. Huge 20-inch version of those wheels. We have a BMW 1 Series, Subaru Impreza WRX, and another 70 Series Supra. And I have to say, this car looks sick because it's actually running these super sick 5-spoke. Talk about period correct. And apologies for the shadow. Unfortunately, with all the illumination we have around here, it's kind of hard to escape shadows. And a really dark, kind of like brown tobacco color for the interior. Very sick. And I don't know if you've been keeping up with the news, but actually the new Prime Minister here in Japan actually owns the exact same car, and I believe in the same dark leather interior. I wanted to show you guys this FD because it's another car from Rise Yokohama, but it seems to be running a bumper I've never really seen before. I would call it probably inspired by Garage TBK with those massive driving projectors right in the corner of the bumper. This one's actually got like yellow covers over them. Scoot bonnet, pretty cool wide body FD build. do like this. Right behind it we have the Gredi Stardust Factory Ari and Mia collab project from years back. Still looking quite unique. Not every day you see a drop top FD. Of course we have this craziness, the Shantez that Amemiya-san built. Actually, I'm not sure if this is the car he drove to the event with tonight. But last time I saw this car was at Nostalgic 2 days early in the year, and it was actually up for sale. I guess nobody went for it. But if you want one crazy built JDM rotary little car, this is the one to get. Right behind here we have a really sweet FC, and to end the JDM lineup, one last final blue FD. And just look at how this event is slowly coming together. The lighting is on point, and you know what? The best thing is no music. Right, let's get back to the Volkswagen selection here. So many modified bugs. And you know, it was always really impressive to me just how much love the Japanese have for old school Volkswagen air-cooled, be it buses or, you know, Beetles or every type of older Volkswagen, right down to cars like this. Volkswagen variant, the two-door station wagon, right? Like, I never really understood just how much love there were for older VWs until I started going to the Moon Eyes events, the streetcar nationals, and you know, the events they used to organize, and they still do actually, up on like a really famous park in Yokohama that's not too far from their headquarters. And of course the Hot Rod Custom Show, really seeing not only the passion but the proficiency in restoring, building, tuning the cars into something so special. And not only, but getting a lot of love from, you know, builders around the world. Japan is always a country that gets praised for its, you know, artisans that are able to really refine, create, restore, and build any sorts of cars. And after all the old cars that we've seen here from Volkswagen, we got the new stuff. I still can't believe this car is riding on Ferrari wheels. I think these are off of a California, maybe. If you guys know, let me know in the comments. Alright, so since we looked at the kind of newer lineup of Volkswagens, some additional cars have arrived at the back there, so let's go through here. We have a Golf R here on the right, a Touran van here on the left, sitting on some rotiform wheels. Nice little touch, nicely lowered van. We have that crazy R8 on the Advan GTs. Oh, this thing looks so good. I can't believe the R8 is no longer on sale. It's no longer a thing. Look at this thing. It looks even more crazy at night. We have that little Lupo we saw coming in before with the roof rack slammed down. And this color is incredible. Look at this, like a metallic brown. And of course, AP Racing right there. Titan 7 wheels. Actually, that's a brand that you don't really see in Japan too often. Of course, you know, being mainly an American brand sold there. We have a nice little Jetta and the old school Golf. I swear to God, this is completely factory fresh. Let's have a look at the engine bay. Okay, I take that back. Oh my God, what the hell is this? This is nuts. You see what I mean? This is the perfect example that you can never judge a book by its cover here in Japan. I saw this thing roll in and I said it looks completely factory fresh, OEM, perfect, and then you open up and there's a fully built motor sitting in there. This does not look like the stock engine at all. This is definitely a transplant. We'll have to find out more. This is crazy. The Volkswagen president, along with a bunch of other very important Volkswagen corporate guys, head of marketing, and people literally that run what is one of the world's biggest companies will be coming down right here, parking up and taking a look at the array of cars that are being prepared for them today. I love this idea, giving inspiration to the people that make the decisions at companies that are so important. Let's not forget that the Volkswagen Group includes brands like Audi, Lamborghini, Skoda, Cupra, Seat, Porsche, Ducati. You know, it's a very important group, and it's at the core of, you know, what we like as enthusiasts. And for, you know, guys in power to really want to be, you know, inspired by seeing the different culture in different countries, it's something that really stands out. And I think a lot more brands, a lot more manufacturers should really be trying to do more of this kind of stuff. Okay, there's like one car here that I completely skipped over before as the lights dim. The midnight crazy Abflug Porsche build. This thing is quite the legend. One of the older club members, looking pretty sick, finished off in that metallic purple. Late arrival was actually Daichan. So this is Daijiro Inada's own 996 project, which has seen the car literally transformed into some crazy hybrid. I think it's running kind of like replica Porsche Cayman headlights, wide body all the way around, custom interior. It's kind of gone for the wide hipped turbo look, and you can see just by how much it's been widened. Actually, it would be really cool to meet with Dai and do a video just chatting to him. I mean, of course, he's the man that started Option and, you know, Tokyo Auto Salon, so as important as it gets for the JDM scene. And I don't know, do you think it's a good idea for me to reach out to him, maybe sit down, chat cars, chat about the culture and how he's seen it kind of evolve over the years? Probably a good idea. Final lineup here, we have a nice wide body MR2, another Swift, pretty crazy R34 GTR. This thing is running a fully built Garage Ito motor. Garage Ito is a quite famous shop from Osaka. These guys were really involved in Time Attack back in the day, created some crazy project, including a really bespoke built, fully customized suspension, like, you know, double wishbone and everything, R34. They never actually saw completion, but these guys were involved in some crazy builds. So really cool to be seeing a 34 built by them. Next to it, we have the Yajima Engineering S14 Silvia sporting the L engine swap, like got rid of the SR and put in a straight six on carburetors. I mean, another car that has to be featured properly on the channel with a full video. Like the cars that Option selected today, really on point, really kind of emphasizing what you know, the Japanese car culture is all about here in the Tokyo Kanto area. Check out this thing. How sick is this? Right, let's keep going. The only Lexus here. Another 32, one last 35. Another sick kind of like drag spec R32. Not sure who built this one, but it's got a fully stripped out interior, carbon fiber trunk lid. We go over to the only Honda NSX here. So we've seen an S2000, an Nikkei Civic, and this beautiful NSX on LMs next to it. An Evo CP9A. Lots of aero goodies on this one. And finally, another Honda. We have a DC2. All right, so here's the big boss arriving. You see how they prepared all the lighting to be on point. It must be overwhelming to arrive into a crazy meet like this. Inada-san is showing the president of Volkswagen around, using the Volkswagens as a good example of how people, you know, modify cars here in Japan. Robbie's got his work cut out for him tonight, translating for Daijiro Inada. man, how cool was that? President of like one of the biggest motor companies in the world appreciating an S20 in a Hakoska GTR. I think really that has made my night. And, you know, big up to Volkswagen. I mean, to do this for their president so that he appreciates car culture in such a faraway country as Japan, you know, it really says a lot for the company and what him as a president really is trying to achieve. You know, getting behind the culture, understanding why people are into these cars, why they do these things to cars, and the whole community around it. You know, I think maybe there is hope for the cars that will come from, you know, today and into the future. They even got Inoue-san to turn on his Z for a little demo. This is awesome because he's actually talking to Flat 4 here, of course. We've done a video with this car, like I mentioned before. Should never really forget about your heritage, right? Especially when it's this good. And I know because I took a ride in this car months back. Pretty cool, fast build. I think stroke to 1.7 liters. And it's really cool that they're touching on this. Japan is one of the few countries out there that doesn't really have exemptions on vintage cars. Anything that's heritage doesn't really get any benefits when it comes to road tax or maybe allowing you know, owners to skip the homologation like the Schäfer that you have to do every 2 years. And that's something very important because there's a bit of a movement in Japan right now to kind of change that. So maybe, you know, coming from the top like that, some movement on that side of things could actually happen. But so cool that the president here of Volkswagen actually went to check out the Flat 4 Beetle. And as the CEO continues to give his kind of thoughts on the whole meet here that was organized and car culture in general, like it's really refreshing to see a guy in his position really understand the passion that we enthusiasts and, you know, everybody in Japan and around the world that are into cars, JDM, imports, like whatever, like anything. He really understands it. And I think a person at that level is able to actually start a change, you know, inject excitement into cars. And, you know, it's really cool to see that he's got that flexibility to even come to an evening like this and do this. So massive thumbs up for Volkswagen for inviting me out today. Good job to Option for creating this amazing meet and selecting such special cars. I hope you enjoyed the video. With that said, make sure you check back soon for more. Don't forget to subscribe. And you know, there's a lot more stuff coming from Japan.